Mr. Smith.
Chairman Getty, Chairman DeMordaunt, and members. I'm here today representing Grace, Mason, Lily, and Ruby, my 4 grandchildren that will be educated in the state of Idaho. Where we are today is 92% of our children graduate high school. Only 46% go on to college. And of that 46%, 40% require additional training, mediation. If they were applying for jobs, that 40% would be rejected. So we are putting out children out of our present system that exists today, failure. 38% of the students will not return to post-secondary, and 34% of Idahoans, only 34% have any kind of post-second grade education. I've heard a lot of numbers today, I heard a lot of people talking, but this is the facts. Right now, the United States is 49th in the world, ranked 49th in the world. We were a world leader when I was in high school and when I was in elementary school. That means there are 48 countries ahead of us. You're looking for a solution, turn to them and ask them how they're doing it, because we can't do it. Idaho is 47th in the nation. Again, I challenge you, go to those 46 other states and ask them what they're doing to turn out better students than what we are. So, my point to this committee is that, as the lady before me spoke, we've done this over and over and over and over again, yet our children are failing. I don't want to see my grandchildren sitting in a classroom another year losing another year, because each year they lose, they cannot regain. So I would challenge you. When I was in business, I was on a forecast each year. I had people that worked for me that were on forecast, and they were given tasks. And those tasks were to meet their goals and show improvement. Right now, we keep losing, and our percentages are going down. So I'm going to challenge every member here. If you adopt a plan, adopt something that's going to hold everybody on this committee, the stakeholders, accountable. And if we come back in 2 years, we don't see that 47% position moving up to 46, 45, 40, then we've all failed, and we continue to fail. So my challenge to you is, don't let another year go by, and let's come up with a plan, a true plan that everybody buys into. And I don't believe waiting another year to kick this thing around. We need to do something now, because every year that a student in Idaho loses, they will not catch up on. So I challenge you, let's move out of 47th. Let's take this great country of ours and move out of 49th. And let's look to the people that are doing it right. There needs to be a change. The results are showing that we're failing. The system that we have today is failing. Please, I ask you to come up with a plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Smith. Leanne Simmons, followed by Steve Smiley, Nancy Gregory, Brad Cedarblum. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Leanne Simmons, and I reside in the Meridian School District, and I have 6 children. Although my children have attended traditional public schools in the Meridian School District, the 3 remaining at home are currently attending Compass Public Charter School. We love our charter school and applaud the legislature for allowing these schools to exist in Idaho. We appreciate the choice and alternative they provide for us, and we encourage you to support legislation that is friendly to charter schools. Our charter school is one of the few schools in Idaho to receive a 5-star rating, and it provides excellent academic training as well as a safe environment that promotes respect for both teachers and students. I would ask you to consider 4 issues. First, the biggest hurdle that our charter school has faced, as you have heard today, has been the struggle to obtain facilities. I urge you to enact legislation that allows charter schools to obtain facilities funding. Number 2, second, because teachers are a critical component of all education, it is imperative that the best teachers are hired and retained in the classroom. Please give districts the ability to keep the best teachers on staff by limiting contracts to 1 or 2 years and by phasing out tenure. Third, please ensure that teacher and staff pension plans are reasonable and properly funded. Sweet benefit packages for teachers are nice as long as we can afford to pay for them. Don't bankrupt the state by making promises that we can't keep. Fourth, online technology is here to stay. Our family has had mixed results in this area, and most of our suggestions would be directed towards the developers, the teachers, and facilitators of these courses, rather than to you as legislators. However, you as legislators can recognize the need for schools to embrace technology and provide necessary funding to allow schools to upgrade their technology networks if needed to allow successful online learning to take place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smiley.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much for this opportunity. First of all, I'm Steve Smiley, and I'm speaking for myself and no one else. As you know, I've never been shy about speaking my mind. I'm one of those rare people that have combined a career in politics with a career in teaching. I'm on my 36 years working at every level, public and private, working with children, and now I'm having the most wonderful opportunity of teaching teachers. I know the landscape. And I would like to discuss education reform by telling you about the hundreds of parent-teacher conferences I've attended or conducted over the years. I can tell you within 30 seconds whether or not that conference is going to be successful. If we all agree that we're here for the same reason, we can have differences of opinions. We're not here to belittle, we're not here to criticize, we're not here to point fingers. If we can agree on that, we can make some progress. If we can't, we won't. Everyone, it seems to know what's wrong and who's to blame. Many here seek to blame the unions or the federal government or the parents or the teachers or the lack of school choice or maybe even the legislature after all. We're easy to blame, aren't we? None of these are the problem. What we need to do is agree on the most basic of all tenets. We are here for the children. We may say it, but our actions speak louder than our words. We say that we respect teachers, and then we go on witch hunts against the unions and against this and against that and against the other thing. And we spend less money than 49 states in the union in doing it. We say that we want school improvement, but we argue a lot and we don't really talk about the things that are really going to make schools better. We say that we're listening, but we pass reform bills that most of the people that testified were against. We say that we want better schools, but instead we argue about what we can put on the plate and what we can't. And now we have even more things that we're discussing adding to the plate. We have choices available right now. Idaho is one of the best states in the union, and that's a good thing. But the choice that most people really want is the choice that every school be an excellent school, staffed by caring people, modern and safe. Our schools have changed a lot over the past 10 years. We have No Child Left Behind, and many of us believe that testing is the be-all to end-all. And we've had other people talk about how China is doing so much better. Well, Mr. Chairman, I've been to China. And I still have 6 business cards of some of those top students that slipped them to me when nobody else was looking, saying, I want to come to America. They didn't want to live in a communist system where they just tested. We're doing some things right in this country. And one of them, thank you very much. In conclusion, I'm leaving my testimony here, Mr. Chairman. And the biggest thing we can do is listen. And that's what you're doing today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. For the benefit of the committee, we're going to push through. If someone needs to take a break, use a restroom or something, just please excuse yourself, and we'll continue to go. Next up is Nancy Gregory. There's room for Rosemarie Schwarzenberger, Dylan Andrade. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Nancy Gregory. I'm a trustee with the Boise School District. And I appreciate this opportunity to testify on behalf of the district about code revisions and new language proposed by the Idaho School Boards Association. I can say up front that the Boise Board specifically opposed the labor...
Can you get closer to the mic, please?
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Let me specifically say that the Boise Board specifically opposed the labor resolutions that were raised at our annual convention, but we lost. We therefore feel compelled to testify now in response to the proposals that are before you. There are obviously some bills which we can support, namely House Bill 65, which restores funding that will be significant for districts across the state. House Bill 68, which sets the dates for contracts. When we find no objection to Senate Bills 27, 28, 37, 38, and 39. We specifically have concerns about parts of House Bill 67, 69, and Senate Bill 1040. Typically, in an agreement reached by negotiating parties, checks and balances are built into the process. For example, in the existing laws related to negotiations, boards of trustees may only impose the last best offer if and when they have proven that a state of fiscal emergency exists in the district. The board must openly and transparently demonstrate that salaries must be reduced and/or days taken from the work year when this situation exists by proving that certain criteria have been met. These obligations of the board are dispensed with in these proposed legislations. In fact, boards of trustees have no obligation to be open and transparent. They may simply impose an agreement after a certain period of good faith negotiation. This legislation tips the scales of bargaining. It provides no motivation for boards of trustees to work through the often messy and difficult process of negotiation. This legislation strips the local association's teachers of a legitimate role in the process. The financial emergency provision, Idaho Code 522, requires boards of trustees to open their financial books and demonstrate fiscal accountability to the district's patrons prior to making important decisions about compensation. Though a few tests of the financial emergencies in the law have proven to be unrealistic and need to be modified, the provision itself is necessary in order for a fair and open process to be executed. You may not be aware that the Boise School District has received an A+ rating from Sunshine Review, which rates the transparency of public entities. As such, the financial emergency provision fits with our philosophy. We would specifically suggest language that makes it easier for districts to declare financial emergency. Because our goal is to prepare students for career, college, and citizenship, we need to attract and retain highly qualified teachers, and elements of these bills make that difficult. Parts of these bills unbalance the scale established through negotiation and collaboration that encourages respect for the voices of both parties. While open session negotiations, one-year contracts, 50+1 representation, and retirement of the evergreen clause will reset the scale for many districts, let us not go overboard and lose the benefits that checks and balances bring to the community of professionals and trustees that educate our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gregory. Mr. Cedarblum, you may have the award for the farthest traveled presenter today. He's from North Idaho. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, and thanks for having this hearing. It's much better than it was last year, where there was no public input.